we overpaid for the equipment. I think we could have worked a better deal, so I could have had more lenses and maybe a second camera.
Well, actually, my next question is, speaking of make your own damn movie, you discuss in there some conditions of your film sets that some people might consider like bordering on the inhumane. For instance, for Return to Nukem High, a lot of the staff members were living at the Magadino funeral home, and they were saying that they actually had experiences with like ghosts and stuff like that. Is there a method to your madness in terms of the filmmaking process in that regard, or?
Well, we don't have any money. That's a method. So, we'd much prefer to put people up in hotels and give them decent food, but we feel that the money should be, if we're going to make a movie, what little money we have should be spent on the movie. And if people want to make art, if they want to make some art, then they've got to sleep on the floor, eat cheese,
make some sacrifices. Yeah.
What?
Make some sacrifices, stuff like that. Of course, I'm one to talk. I went home after the shoot each night. So.
Yeah, well, in other words, if they don't want to make art, then go to Hollywood. Do what Hollywood. Nobody asked them to sleep on the floor. They obviously want to be there. They were there for 2 months, and they spent a month in New York City, rehearsing and not getting paid and blah blah blah. Now the main actors did get paid. The crew got paid. But they're not there for that. They're there to be involved in something they believe in, something that if they want to make a living, go sell shoes or go work for Michael Bay and make a movie with lots of Transformers.
Do you consider yourself a drill sergeant in the filmmaking boot camp? I mean, that's a very cheesily written question, but would you describe yourself in that sense?
It's a very good question. I believe in the auteur theory of movie making. The auteur is a French theory that propounds the director as the all-powerful dictator. So I'm the dictator. But I listen to anyone who has a suggestion, and hopefully you noticed that when you were on the set, that I do listen to people who come up quietly and make a suggestion. And when we were rehearsing, and we rehearsed a month in New York, and then at least a month up in Niagara Falls. Do you remember Chelsea Holland?
Yes.
And Aaron and the beautiful boy who was our script guy. I can't remember his name.
Casey, I think it was.
What?
Casey, I think it was.
Yeah, Casey. They all were very much involved. They were there with me rehearsing. So during the rehearsal time, and the actors, of course, gave a tremendous amount of input. But I have the last word. So in that respect, I am indeed a dictator. But it's for the art. It is not that I enjoy having people sleep on the floor and get bitten by spiders and have diabetes attacks and all that kind of shit. I don't enjoy that. I would much prefer to put people up in a hotel. But we can either have people staying in a nice Holiday Inn, and or we can have a movie. So
yeah. So would you consider yourself then like a benevolent dictatorship then?
I don't know. I don't think there's any benevolence really. I think it's about making some art. I don't treat myself any better. Right? I guess I do to some extent. I don't do all the heavy lifting that I used to do, and I used to clean the toilets, and I've stopped doing that only because I'm now a senior citizen. Were I younger, I would do all the loading the trucks and all that shit. I used to be the first one on the set and the last one to leave. I don't do that anymore because I'm too. I feel that after 40 years, I deserve a little bit of respect. And for the last few films, the crew and the cast have respected me enough to, give me a little slack, cut me a little slack.
All right. Now, getting back to actual filmmaking, the Troma Universe, as it were, it encompasses pretty much all of your films, at least all the films that have like these massive cult classic status. Was that something that you originally conceived when you were coming up with these films, or did it sort of stem from the level of popularity?
Good question. There's no level of popularity, as I told you. You're probably the only person who wants to see our movies. But when I was at Yale, I discovered Marvel Comics. I had never read Marvel Comics. And the Marvel Universe is a big inspiration to Tromaville. Now, I'm only
okay.
Troma Entertainment owns about 800 movies. 250 of them are on the YouTube movie. Sorry, I'm shifting a little bit.
All right.
200 of them are on the movie channel that YouTube has. I've only directed about 30 movies. Those movies do have a Troma Universe. They take place in Tromaville, and the Toxie lives in the dump, and Kabuki Man lives in the waterfront, and they all visit each other's movies. So there is a Troma Universe, and I think that I became friendly with Stan Lee, and when I got out of Yale, I wrote a script with him called Night of the Witch, and we've buddies ever since. And so I think Marvel's been a big, the Marvel Universe has been a big influence on my oeuvre.
That's interesting. I don't even think up until now I had made the connection. I also believe I saw one of the actors on set had a copy of the Toxic Avenger. I believe one of the actors on set, I believe.
You froze.
Oh yeah, I believe our screen's. Here we go. One of the actors on set had a copy of a Toxic Avenger comic book, I believe, that Marvel made.
Yeah, that's right. Stan Lee loves Troma.
It was very interesting. It took me until now that you were mentioning the connection between the universes, for me to think of that. There.
Well, Stan Lee, if you go on the Lloyd Kaufman website, the fans have put up a Lloyd Kaufman website, fan site. There's a quote by Stan Lee about the fact that like Spider-Man, the Toxic Avenger, the way that Spider-Man put a new face onto the comic book superhero, Toxie put a new face on the movie superhero.
Huh?
And I think there's some truth to that.
There, speaking of people and their opinion.
Breaking up. Can you hear what I'm saying? Because now you are breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can hear what you're saying.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear us?
Oh, okay, good. That's all right. Now I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Now, there are a lot of people.
You're freezing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You've been freezing. You're freezing. You're
Oh.
freezing. So I don't know. It's just bad connection right now.
Yeah.
Keep going now. I can hear you.
Okay.
You look fine.
Yeah, you look fine. Your movies, I would say, defy categorization. There are a lot of people who would describe your movies as being sort of a mixture of Frank Capra meets Ed Wood. Now, you would reference yourself in terms of being an auteur. Is there any other description you would have for yourself in terms of movie history? In terms of your place in film history?
Well, it certainly ain't Ed Wood. Ed Wood sucks. Capra, yes. Capra, there's a lot of Capra. But I think I'm more influenced by the Chaplin and Keaton, and my work may not resemble those artists, but I think that you check out Todd Browning's work, you check out James Whale, you check out Samuel Fuller. I think you'll see more of them, and the Ed Wood thing is horseshit.
Now, I always
I
thought.
do wear women's underwear occasionally. Other than that, I don't believe there's any similarity between Ed Wood and me, other than I think he loved movies. I think he genuinely loved cinema.
Now you froze up, actually, just now. So,
Hold on 1 second, it should clear.
Be very stupid to. I think that's a dumb comparison, and people do it all the time because they don't understand my movies, and they probably don't realize what shit Ed Wood's movies are. And fucking Hollywood made a movie about Ed Wood, showing him as a pathetic transvestite. so that they could badmouth independent cinema. They could say to the public, look at independent cinema. This is what independent cinema is. It's a pathetic, untalented transvestite running around in black and white. So who cares if independent art goes away? Bring on Michael Bay. Bring on the explosions. Let's give everybody baby food because independent cinema is crap like Ed Wood.
Yeah.
See, I always thought of you more as like if David Cronenberg had a really good sense of humor.
Well, Cronenberg's great. I do admire him. I can't say he's an influence. The people who are influences on me are more the classic American directors, I think. The Chaplins, the Keatons. But, I mean, Cronenberg is one of the greatest of all time. He's the best. But I can't say I've been influenced. I think in my formative years, well, I'm probably as old as Cronenberg. I think the people I was looking at when I was at Yale were more in Jean Renoir and Fritz Lang and Stan Brakhage, Samuel Fuller, Capra for sure. John Avildsen, who made Rocky as somebody who I can't say a mentor, but I learned at his knee. John Badham, who made Saturday Night Fever, I learned at his knee. Those guys definitely were influences for sure.
I think I do understand what he's saying, though, in terms of like the gore element, perhaps, of your films. Like a lot of the influences you were talking about are more the, I would say, the comedic,
Or the character.
Yeah,
our movies are more satire than anything else. Preston Sturges was a big influence on Toxic Avenger. Chaplin was a big influence on Toxic Avenger. Keaton was an influence on Toxic Avenger Part 2. I mean, they all were influences on all my work, but I think it's more that stuff. The gore thing we just did, I don't remember seeing any. I don't really recall, other than Chien Andalou, which I didn't get. I don't recall seeing any. The only gore I knew was Grand Guignol stuff, and when we did the head squashing scene in Toxic Avenger, I don't think there had been anything that graphic. If there was, I didn't know of it.
Now, you have certainly, and even over the course of this interview, you've been very, very intent on your belief that independent film is a great art form, and it's a belief that I personally also stand by. But level with me here for a second. Has there been any point in your career where the glitz and glamour of Hollywood has at all seemed appealing to you?
Sure. Glitz and glamour and money is always appealing. I also like hookers. I like drugs. I like all the superficial things. But I prefer to have control over my art and therefore have not gone to Hollywood. I've stayed in New York and I live in a refrigerator carton, and you find me on the corner begging for nickels, and every once in a while performing fellatio on someone who give me $2.
Well, hey, it's the control, I guess. It's the control over the product, I guess.
There's no purpose in. First of all, you shouldn't call it product. Product is a banana.
Oh.
That's a product. Product is a pig that you raise to make bacon. I don't eat meat, by the way. A product is. Well, you know what product is. You should film. Use the word film or art, or if you don't want to say art, then say film or movie or something.
No, it's understandable.
It's a very harsh word. But the point is, there's no purpose in doing what I do without having control. I went to Yale University. I went to the finest schools. I could have been on Wall Street making a shitload of money. I didn't need to go to Hollywood to make money. I wasn't some crude, uneducated bore like some of the people that you read about in the or that you watch on Good Morning America. Those are people with no education. I had every advantage. I could have gone to Wall Street and made shitloads of money. I could have probably gone into some company like General Electric and wormed my way up to the top and make $5 or $6 or $100 million a year, whatever those guys make. But I didn't want that. I wanted to control movies, to have movies that were strictly under my thumb that I controlled 100%. The only way I can do that is I was not able to control the Hollywood thing. You know, you have to make a lot of compromise. If you're making movies for big budgets, you have to make compromises. And there are directors who are working in Hollywood, in the mainstream, who are very good and who have total control. Trey Parker, whose first movie was Troma's Cannibal the Musical. He's out in the mainstream, and he's got total control, and he's a great guy. And Oliver Stone, who started with me, is one of America's greatest film directors, and he has total control. But most of the people in the mainstream are scum of the earth with no morals, and they don't last either. They make 1 or 2 movies, and they're gone. They're out there, they're writing for, I don't know, TV, or not even that. They're sitting somewhere, I don't know, you don't see them come back. They make 1 or 2 movies, and that's it. There are very few Martin Scorsese's or Woody Allen's.
Do you feel that, that's not actually what I was about to ask. Have you been given a lot of offers from Hollywood?
No. Nothing good. Nothing ever good. Even though our movies have been profitable, even though Peter Jackson, Quentin Tarantino, Trey Parker, Del Toro, all these guys grew up on Troma movies and were very much influenced by Troma movies. Eli Roth, James Gunn, I can go on and on and on. Most of them are white men, of course, because it's a racist, sexist industry. Otherwise, I would talk about some women. But there aren't any, or there are very few. The point is, I've never gotten a decent script from anybody, and I've never had a decent offer, ever. I get offers, but the scripts suck, and the money's no good, so there's no purpose in doing it. I'm not in the mainstream. I'm not particularly well liked in the mainstream too, because I've been a troublemaker. They know that they know if they hire me, I'm going to be fighting with them, so they're wise to stay away unless they give me total control, which they won't for the most part. And the scripts I've been offered are just awful. If I made one of them and took a $50,000 fee, which is garbage, a fee by their standards anyway,